My beloved child, there are moments in life that seem so silent, so still, that your soul begins to wonder if anyone is truly listening. Yet it is in those very silences that a supernatural movement quietly unfolds, not in the visible, tangible world, but in the sacred realm of the Spirit, where every command is issued from the throne of glory. In the moments when you are unaware, a wondrous plan has already begun, not as a random response from heaven, but as a precise orchestration, delicately woven before time itself began. A calling is echoing from the depths, not through sound, but through the shifting of seasons, through the unusual rhythm in your heart, signaling that something beyond your imagination is drawing near. You did not choose this moment by your own will. It was appointed long ago, like the first morning summoned forth from the darkness in Genesis. The deepest desires within your heart, the ones never spoken aloud, not even yet fully formed into words, they are being weighed and considered by me, the one who knows every path of the soul. I not only see what you need, but I understand what you have not dared to believe you deserve. And now, as you step into this sacred moment, heaven itself leans in to make room for what is coming. Do not mistake the waiting as meaningless. Just as Joseph was forgotten in the depths of prison for many years, Genesis 40:41, only to be summoned one day, when the appointed time had come out of the shadows and into a place of authority. So it is now with you. Every journey through the valley, every long day without light, has been my way of carving depth into your soul, so that you may carry a glory far greater than you imagined. And now, as the spiritual realm begins to move, a series of events will unfold that will leave no doubt in you. You are stepping into an unprecedented season, not by chance, not by coincidence, but by a holy ordination from Metha, one who never errs in even the smallest detail. My child, when you sit in stillness, your heart may still tremble with uncertainty, but there is a truth your soul must hold fast to. Not a single movement in the spiritual realm is accidental. Not a breath, not a heartbeat, not a passing moment escapes the gaze of the all-knowing one, even when you do not feel it. I am still at work, like a stream silently carving the depths of the earth, like roots pressing deep into hidden soil. Heaven's preparation rarely arrives in blinding light, but in quiet power that saturates in silence. And it is within that silence that you are being shaped for what is to come. Do not despise the days that seem uneventful, for it is in the seemingly uneventful seasons that the foundation is formed, like Joseph in the prison, who seemed forgotten, yet was being positioned for the throne of Egypt, like David in the sheep fields, who appeared to be merely a shepherd, yet was being trained for kingship. And you, too, are in such a season. It is not that he has forgotten you, but that he is hiding his face to refine a character in you that light cannot produce. In darkness, the seed splits open. In secrecy, miracles begin to take shape. Do not be alarmed when nothing seems clear. This is when heaven is crafting its greatest surprise. Remember what happened to Elisha. When that prophet was still just a farmer, he had no idea that his moment of destiny would come through a mantle thrown swiftly upon him. 1 Kings 19:19. No introduction, no grand ceremony, just one act from an anointed man. And Elisha's entire life was redirected, so it may be with you. You may be walking through ordinary days, unaware that a single moment from heaven could pivot your destiny toward eternity. not according to your plans, but according to the timing of the one who is never bound by schedules or circumstances. All it takes is one word from him, and reality can shift, and that word is drawing near. My child, have you ever wondered why you're still standing, even when you thought you would fall, why your soul still carries the flame? Despite all the barren seasons, it is because that unseen hand has never withdrawn. A power has sustained you, pulled you back from the edge, and set your feet upon the rock. And now, you are standing on the edge of something never before revealed, not a fleeting miracle, but a new way of living, a rhythm from heaven, an open door that no one can shut. You are not required to understand everything, only to be ready, because when the appointed time comes, preparation will meet opportunity, and the leap will begin. Be mindful of the waiting. It can either sharpen your faith or dull your fire. Some retreat because they see nothing, but others, seeing nothing, cling even tighter. My child, choose the path of wisdom. Like the wise virgins in the parable, keep your lamp burning, even if the bridegroom delays. The oil of faithfulness will sustain the flame of hope, and at the appointed hour, the cry will resound, "Behold, the bridegroom is coming," Matthew 25-6. Then, only those who are prepared will enter the wedding feast. Do not let impatience or weariness of soul cause you to turn back. The moment of breakthrough will not arrive with resounding drums, but with a whisper to the one who stays awake. My beloved, what you are going through now may look nothing like the promise you received, but do not doubt the one who spoke it, for every word that comes from his mouth will not return empty. They are like the snow and rain that come down from heaven, and do not return without watering the earth, making it bud and flourish, giving seed to the sower and bread to the eater. Isaiah 55:10-11. The promise you were given was never meant to merely satisfy the present, but to guide you through the wilderness toward your destination. Let your faith take root deeper than your feelings. Let your hope rise higher than your circumstances, and let his love silence every doubt. Remember that Abraham had to wait more than 20 years to see the promise fulfilled. During that time, he did not weaken in faith, but grew stronger by giving glory to God. Romans 4:20. That is the posture you must take, not a passive faith, but an active worship in the midst of not seeing, not because God needs a reminder, but because your soul needs to be anchored. Not because prayer changes the circumstance instantly, but because it keeps your heart unshaken until the circumstance changes. You are standing in the in-between, between the promise and its fulfillment. It is a sacred threshold, a place where many give up, yet also the very ground where the chosen rise. Here, you learn that not everything comes as expected, but everything comes at the appointed time. This is where you begin to see that not all miracles arrive with flashes of fire, but some grow slowly, like a mustard seed becoming a mighty tree. This is where you will understand that delay is not denial, and silence is not distance. This is the place where you must hold your heart steady, cling to the word, and keep the fire burning within. And when that moment comes, when the veil is lifted, when the wind from heaven breathes through your soul like an echo of my voice, you will know that every waiting was not in vain. You will see that every tear that fell became a seed sown in the field of the Lord. You will realize that the dry seasons did not wither you, but deepened your roots, so that when the rain finally comes, you will not only survive, but bloom. And that bloom will not be a blessing for you alone, but a living testimony to others of the power of the one who brings forth wonders from the most unlikely places. My child, it is time for you to examine how you are walking the path of life, and not merely with physical eyes, but with the vision of your soul. For too long, you have moved forward without pausing to see what ground your feet are standing on. You've been too focused on the heights you hope to reach, forgetting that it is the foundation beneath that sustainer shatters it all. What ground are you building upon? Beloved, is it the solid rock of faith, or the soft sand shaped by anxiety, weariness, and human expectations? Christ himself declared, "Whoever hears these words of mine and puts them into practice is like a wise man who built his house upon the rock." Matthew 7:24. And when the rain falls, the floods rise, and the winds beat against that house, it does not collapse because its foundation is sure. But if the foundation is sand, no matter how tall the house, one storm is enough to bring it to ruin. My child, your soul is the house you are building, and every choice, every habit, every thought you hold is a brick in that structure. You cannot blame the storm for the fall if you yourself chose the wrong foundation. My child, ask yourself this: what is the root of the actions you repeat each day? Is it the pursuit of quick comfort to fill a silent void? Is it the ignoring of inner warnings, just to maintain a familiar, busy rhythm of life? My child, no one but you can truly see into the depths of your own heart. Yet if you are honest, you will see there are things quietly draining your life force. Things you once deemed harmless are gradually dulling your ability to receive light and life from heaven. You do not need a crisis to change. What you need is awakening. Awakening to the truth that your body is not merely flesh and bone, but a dwelling place for me, your God. Just as the ancient temple was built with precious stones and governed by sacred order, so your body was formed by my own hand, carefully, purposefully, and perfectly. Every cell, every vein, every breath is a testimony to the infinite wisdom of the Creator. You are not a coincidence. You are the result of divine intention. Therefore, each time you neglect your body through what you consume, through sleeplessness, or through exhaustion, you allow dust to settle upon a holy place that was meant to be preserved. Do not be deceived by the voice that says, caring for yourself is secondary, that only the soul matters, for both soul and body belong to me. As the scripture says, do you not know that your body is a temple of the Holy Spirit? 1 Corinthians 6:19. When the temple is defiled, it is not only the structure that is compromised, but my presence feels distant, not because I have withdrawn, but because your heart has grown dull to perceive me. When you live without awareness, you sever the delicate link between body and spirit, and once that connection is broken, you may find yourself alive, yet not truly living. You must understand that the aches in your body, the sleepless nights, the crushing fatigue are not always just natural consequences. Sometimes, they are the cries of a body burdened by a soul stretched too thin. They are signals, calling you to pause, to restore, to return to the original blueprint in which I created you. For you were not made to merely survive, but to flourish, to prosper, to live abundantly in every dimension, body, soul, and spirit. My child, know this: you cannot attain that abundance by human effort alone. No diet, no exercise regimen, no meditation technique can ever replace the presence of God within you. It is that presence which is your true breath, the fire of resurrection, the living water flowing from the deepest part of your soul. And when you invite me into every aspect of your life, even the seemingly mundane ones like your sleep, your meals, your breath, you will begin to witness a wonder, a restoration that defies logic, a life welling up from once barren places. Do not wait until your body breaks down, your soul wears thin, and your spirit grows faint to return. For though healing may still come, you will have lost precious time that could have been spent walking in strength and in light. Like a cracked clay jar, I can still mend you, but the scars may remain. Yet I did not create you to live marked by damage, but to live as a new vessel filled to the brim and overflowing for the world. My child, once you choose to step into the process of complete renewal from body to soul, heaven will respond. Angels will be sent forth. Doors will be opened. And the very spiritual climate around you will shift. For restoration from within will manifest without. People will see the light in your eyes, the life in your words, and the peace in every step you take. And you will no longer need to prove anything, for your very life will be the evidence. Do not hesitate to walk this path of restoration. Do not fear changing your habits, breaking old patterns, or letting go of the weary comforts you once clung to. For when you dare to reject what is destroying you, you make room for the eternal to take residence. And it is in that place where you surrender your body and will to me that you will begin to truly live. No longer merely breathing, but carrying the breath of heaven to live, to influence, and to fulfill the destiny written for you since before time began. Dear beloved child, if you truly desire healing, you cannot continue to hold on to the very things that are destroying you from within. Healing is not merely the restoration of flesh or physical health. It is a deep and sacred process that begins in the soul. You may anoint yourself with oil, take medicine, do all the outward things, but if your roots remain decayed, the tree of your life will still wither. Let me ask you this, in the depths of your heart, is there something you have not dared to face? Is there a shadow you're hiding beneath a strong exterior? Is there a wound still bleeding? Even though you no longer speak of it, you know it better than anyone else. The wounds you don't speak of, yet they keep you awake through the night. The memories you thought were buried, but one careless word brings them flooding back. The reactions you can't control whenever old pain is stirred up again. My child, these things did not appear out of nowhere. They are the consequences of years you have struggled to survive without truly being healed. You have learned to live with the pain, but I never meant for you to live like that. I did not create you to endure endlessly, but to overcome. Do not hide anymore. Just as Adam and Eve hid behind the trees in shame, you, too, are hiding behind layers of justification and self-protection. But I am the one who walked through that garden. I called out, "Where are you?" Not because I did not know, but because I longed for you to admit where you truly are. When you dare to step out of hiding, to whisper to me through trembling lips, "Lord, I am tired. I am hurting. I am weak." That is when true healing begins. For I do not heal the mask. I heal the honest heart. My beloved, healing begins when you acknowledge the pain, but refuse to let it define you. When you look at the wound and dare to say, "It happened, but it is not who I am." when you hand it over to Minot just once in a flood of emotion. But every day, in steadfast surrender, every time the memory returns, you say again, I no longer belong to that. My name is not victim, but victor, and I will be there with you, strengthening you, until that wound no longer bleeds, but becomes a mark of triumph. Remember, even Jesus, after his resurrection, still bore the marks of the nails in his hands. But those marks no longer symbolized pain. They became a testimony of glorious resurrection. Your wounds may still remain, but they will no longer hurt you. They will become the very places where I reveal my glory if you allow me to touch them with truth and love. I know this is not easy. Forgiveness is not easy. Letting go is not easy. But it is the only path to freedom. You cannot carry the memories of those who hurt you and still hope to enter the promised land. Just as the Israelites could not bring the yoke of Egyptian slavery into Canaan, you cannot carry bitterness into the place of blessing I have prepared for you. You must be resolute. You must say to yourself, today, I choose freedom. Today, I will no longer let the past control my future. Aim, I am not asking you to do this alone. No one can break free from chains by their own strength. That is why I have given you my Holy Spirit to dwell with you. He is the comforter, the teacher, the healer. Whenever you feel weak, call on him. When you are tempted to revisit your old wounds out of habit, whisper a prayer. When you feel out of control, sit down in silence and let the Holy Spirit breathe into you once more. For it is not your strength that will carry you, but my strength within you. Do you remember the woman who suffered for 12 years? She wasn't healed just because she touched the hem of Jesus' garment. She was healed because she had faith. Faith made her push through the crowd, made her reach out, made her believe that even a single touch could change her destiny. And so it is with you. Sometimes, all it takes is one small decision, a choice to wake up 10 minutes earlier to pray, a choice to reject a negative thought, the choice to forgive before going to sleep. These seemingly small acts can be the beginning of a great miracle. Do not underestimate the power of the small. You don't have to accomplish everything in one day. You only need to begin. And day by day, step by step, I will walk with you. I do not promise a journey without tears, but I promise to wipe away your tears. I do not promise there will be no battles, but I promise to fight for you. I do not promise there will be no fire, but I promise the fire will not consume you. For I am the one who goes with you, the one who leads the way, the one who never leaves your side. Let today be a new beginning, not because of a surge of emotion, but because of a decision carved deep within. Say to yourself, I deserve to be healed. I was not born to live with pain. I am a child of the heavenly King, and he never destined me for a life of suffering. Begin today with one act. Write down what you need to release. Kneel in a quiet place and surrender them to me. Then rise and walk as one who has been set free. As you begin to let go, something miraculous will unfold within your spirit. Not a noisy transformation, not a whirlwind that sweeps everything away at once, but a gentle breeze whispering through your soul, signaling the arrival of a new season, a season of gentleness, of deep breaths, of peaceful sleep. You will no longer wake in the night with a heavy heart. You will no longer feel as though you're carrying the weight of the world on your shoulders. No, you no longer have to hold everything together, no longer need to prove anything. You simply need to be present fully and honestly, for that is what I seek in you, a heart that is sincere, unhidden, and unafraid. But you must also understand this: letting go does not mean giving up. Forgiveness does not mean agreeing with what happened. And healing does not mean you are weak. On the contrary, only the brave dare to forgive. Only the truly strong dare to face their past. And only those who know who they are in me dare to step away from familiar paths. My child, I see strength in you, strength you have yet to recognize. Because you've spent so long striving, you've forgotten the difference between tensing up and standing firm. But today, I want to teach you a new way to live, a life that flows from rest, a life that draws from the waters of life, a life rooted firmly in me. There is one thing I want you to remember deeply. Everything you need for healing has already been given. It is not somewhere outside of you, nor hidden in the future. It is here and now, in the very breath you inhale, in every beat of your heart. I am present. You do not need to seek a miracle beyond your reach. I am that miracle. My word is the bread of life, the balm of healing, the light that leads your way. Each time you open the scriptures and let my words sink into your bones, something within you is restored. As Psalm 107:20 declares, He sent out His word and healed them. He rescued them from the pit. Do you see? Healing does not begin with a feeling. It begins with a word. And that word is being spoken to you today. My child, take a look at your life, every small choice you make each day. I am not asking you to become someone else. I am simply calling you to live with awareness. Awareness of your body as a temple of the Holy Spirit. Awareness of your words as seeds planted in the hearts of others. Awareness of your thoughts as the foundation of your inner life. You cannot sow fear into your mind and expect to reap peace. You cannot feed your soul with poison and expect your body to thrive. Everything is connected. And now is the time for you to pause and reflect on what you've been sowing. Let me ask you this: what are you allowing into your life? What are you listening to every day? What music fills your space? What images are imprinted in your mind before you fall asleep? What words are you silently repeating to yourself? Don't dismiss these things as insignificant. It is precisely those seemingly harmless things that lay the first stones of the structure that becomes your life. And if they are not built on the foundation of truth, then one day, even a gentle wind of testing will cause it all to collapse. Beloved, healing is not only about curing the body of disease, it is a complete sanctification in how you live, how you think, how you speak, and how you love. You cannot say you love me while despising the very body I gave you. You cannot claim obedience while clinging to habits that corrode your soul. Be honest with yourself. Is there something you know is not right, yet continue to do anyway? Do not be afraid to admit it. For admission is the beginning of freedom. When you dare to name the issue for what it is, then I can come and call you by your true name. You are not an addict, not a weakling, not a failure. Your true identity is written in the palm of my hand, and it is never altered by circumstances or mistakes. But you must return to hear me call you by your real name, the name only you and I know. That name is untouched by the dust of the world, unerased by the passage of time. It is the name given to you before the heavens and the earth were formed, and it is tied to an eternal calling. And once you remember that name, you will live differently. You will eat differently, speak differently, think differently, not because you are trying harder, but because you are returning to your rightful place. My beloved, I am not calling you to be perfect overnight, but I am inviting you to walk step by step in the light. A small decision today, another step tomorrow, and when you look back, you'll realize how far you've come from the pit without even noticing. I am the faithful one. I who began a good work in you will carry it to completion. Even when you are weary, I am not. Even when you waver, my hand remains steady. You are not alone in this journey. I am holding your hand. My child, as the light begins to pierce into the hidden corners of your soul, there will be things that surface which may confuse or unsettle you. It might be pain you've buried too long. It might be a dream you've forgotten, or a fear you've never dared to name. But I say to you, do not turn away. The light does not come to condemn, it comes to heal. There is no darkness thick enough to resist a true ray of light, and there is no wound too deep that my hand cannot reach. Imagine your soul as a garden. There are parts that are vibrant, budding, blossoming, but there are also shadowed corners where the soil has been hardened by years of fear and bitterness. I did not come only to admire the flowers. I came too till the fallow ground, to enrich the dry soil, to uproot whatever does not belong to me. And this process will not always be pleasant, but it is necessary, because if you desire a true harvest, then you must let me be the true gardener. You have prayed for renewal. You have wept for new life. But life cannot grow from soil that remains sealed. You need to let the tears of repentance soak into it, so I may soften what has grown hard, not because I am unaware of what you've been through, but because I want you to know that I am still here, unchanging, unrelenting, and unwavering. When others hurt you, I did not stand aside. When you blamed yourself, I did not turn away. When you broke down, I did not back away. I was there, and I am still here, waiting for you to let me into the deepest parts. My child, when you begin to live in truth with yourself, deliverance will begin to take place, not by your own strength, but by the truth I declare. Truth is not what you feel, it is what I have spoken. And I have spoken that you are loved. You are chosen. You are redeemed at the highest cost. You are not a byproduct of your circumstances. You are the forethought of an eternal design. Your body is not a burden. It is the dwelling place of the Holy One. And every part of you, your mind, your emotions, your memories, your flesh can be made new. Perhaps you wonder, how can transformation happen when I've lived off course for so long? How can I begin again when I'm tangled in so many bad habits, dark thoughts, and wrong decisions? My child, I am not asking you to fix everything on your own. I am asking you to let me remake everything within you. Just as clay cannot mold itself, you must yield to the hands of the potter. When you surrender yourself into my hands, I will begin to reshape you not into what the world expects, but into what I intended you to be from the very beginning. But you must learn to be patient with yourself. Just as a wound does not heal overnight, the healing of the soul also takes time. There will be days when you see clear progress, and there will be days when it feels like you're falling back. But do not be deceived by your feelings. Good seeds always grow in silence before they break through into the light. Do not measure the process with your natural eyes. Measure it with faith. For faith does not rely on what is seen, but trusts in what I have promised. I have promised never to leave you. I have promised that no one who belongs to me will be snatched from my hand. I have promised that when you draw near to me, I will draw near to you. So come. Do not let fear or guilt hold you back. There is no stain too deep that the blood of the Lamb cannot wash clean. There is no path too lost that I cannot lead you home. What I am looking for is not perfection, but a willing heart. My beloved, perhaps you have carried hurtful words, false judgments, or unfulfilled expectations, but you don't have to carry them anymore. It's time to lay them down. Let me exchange them for something better. Instead of shame, I give you honor. Instead of anxiety, I give you peace. Instead of bitterness, I give you a grateful heart. Instead of burdens, I give you lightness. And instead of darkness, I place within you a light that will never be extinguished. I have not called you merely to survive, but to live fully. I did not create you to repeat the mistakes of your ancestors, but to begin a new lineage, a lineage of those who are restored, set apart, and sent out with power and love. You are not limited by what your parents went through. You are not bound by family history. In me, every curse can be broken. Every chain can be shattered. But you must step out of the shadows, choose what is new, and lay hold of life. And you will not be alone. I have appointed companions for the journey. I have sent angels to guard your path. I have allowed signs to appear along the way you walk. Do not fear if, at times, you find yourself going against the current, for it may be that you are the one called to shift the direction of an entire generation, and you do not need to do it by your own strength. I am with you, my child. Now that the door has been opened, now that the light has shone and your heart has begun to recognize my voice, there is one essential truth that must be etched into your soul. Every movement in your life should not be driven by fear, but by relationship with me. Fear may push you forward for a while, but only love can sustain you through the entire journey. Do not live to flee from what is wrong, live to draw closer to what is right. Do not try to escape the darkness by mere willpower. Let the light of my love drive it away completely. You may ask, how do I live in that love? The answer is not found in effort, but in surrender. Like a child falling into a father's arms without fear of rejection. Fall into mine. Do not try to earn acceptance through your actions, for you were received before you had done anything. My love does not come after the change, it comes to spark the change. When you live with the awareness of that love, you will no longer see yourself as condemned, but as restored. And every choice you make will flow not from striving to prove yourself, but from a heart of gratitude. I have said, good fruit comes from a good tree, and a good tree does not bear fruit out of fear of being cut down, but because it is watered and rooted. My child, your spiritual life is the same. If you obey only out of fear of punishment, your roots will wither. But if you walk in the knowledge that you are deeply loved, goodness will naturally blossom within you. Let me be the living water that nourishes your deepest roots. Let my words soak into every thought, every daily decision, every silent sigh. My child, you don't need to rush to become perfect. What I desire is a tender heart, one that is willing to learn, willing to be touched, and willing to be transformed. Remember, it was I who chose you, not because you were strong or exceptional, but because I longed to reveal my glory through your very weakness. I called shepherds to become kings. I chose the rejected to be my messengers. I used those who were considered nothing to bring down the pride of the powerful. So if you feel small or unworthy, You are in the perfect position for me to display my power. Do not fear starting over. Do not shy away from tearing down an old foundation to rebuild from the beginning. I do not build upon lies, compromise, or fear. I only build on truth, and truth must first be revealed. If something within you is being shaken, know that it is not a collapse, but a dismantling to make way for something new. When you are ready to let go of what is false, I will give you a life that is real, a life that is not just okay, but abundant, not merely surviving, but fully alive. My beloved, learn from the journey of Job. When everything he had was taken away, he did not turn to logic, but turned to me. In his pain, he did not accuse, but cried out to heaven with the question, Lord, where are you? And it was in those groans that I answered not with explanations, but with my presence. You see, I don't always give you answers, but I always give you myself, and that is enough. When you have me, you have everything. When you lose everything yet still hold on to me, you have lost nothing. But if you gain everything and yet are without me, you have nothing at all. My child, it is time to shift your foundation. Do not place your trust in what can change money, health, reputation, or people. Place your trust in the one who never changes. I am the faithful one, the solid rock, the upholding hand, the refuge in times of trouble. When you make me your only foundation, everything else will fall into its rightful place. Relationships will be healed, thoughts will be renewed, your soul will be restored, and you will walk in a peace that surpasses all understanding. True peace is not the absence of storms, but the presence of me in the midst of the storm. When the disciples cried out, "We are going to die," I was still asleep, not because I didn't care, but because I was not shaken by circumstances. And when I arose, I spoke a word, "Peace, be still," and the sea obeyed. In the same way, if you allow me to truly dwell in your heart, you will not be moved. The waves may rise, but your heart will remain at peace. The noise outside may be chaotic, but within you there will be stillness. Learn to live from the inside out. Do not let outward circumstances govern your inner being. Let the life within you shape how you face the world. I am not far away. I am within you. My kingdom is within your heart, and every source of strength you need is already found in me. Do not search for what you already have. Do not wait for what has already been given. Simply open your heart, listen, and walk forward. When you have learned to listen from the place of stillness, you will realize that my voice does not come through thunder, but through a gentle whisper. Do not expect guidance from the noise, for your soul was not designed to receive commands from a place of clamor. I am the one who speaks in the silence, and I call you into the secret place to reveal the things of the unshakable kingdom. Step away from what clouds your mind, from all that pulls your attention away from my presence. Do not spend your time chasing after information, but rather let your spirit soak in revelation. My child, there is a profound difference between information and revelation. Information fills the mind, but revelation transforms the heart. Information can be memorized, but only revelation can birth faith. And you cannot live on cold knowledge. You need a word from heaven. You need something that transcends logic, pierces through doubt, and reaches the very core of your soul. You need a "let there be light" to drive away the darkness. And only I can speak that word. Only I can resurrect faith from the fragments of disappointment. You may have grown accustomed to living by reason, calculating every step, analyzing every consequence. But you cannot step into the supernatural if you insist that everything must make sense. My kingdom operates on the foundation of faith, a kind of faith that does not need to see in order to believe, does not need to understand in order to move forward, does not need proof in order to obey. Just as Abraham left his homeland without knowing where he was going, just as Noah built an ark during a drought, just as Mary said yes, though she had never known a man, you too are called to believe before you see, not because I want you to be blind, but because I want you to trust. My child, trust is the heartbeat of relationship. You don't need to understand everything in order to know who I am. Sometimes, I withhold certain details not to make things difficult, but to keep our relationship alive and real. If you had all the answers, you would no longer need me. But I desire to walk with you step by step, day by day. I don't only want to be your Lord, I long to be your companion, your Father, your counselor, your unchanging source of love. And on this journey, there will be moments when you feel as though you're walking through a desert, no signs, no confirmations, no encouragement. But remember, the desert is not a place of punishment. It is a place of preparation. Moses was formed in the desert. Joseph was refined in prison. David was anointed king, yet lived in caves before ascending the throne. And I myself, the one who multiplied loaves and fishes, also endured 40 days of fasting in the wilderness. So if you find yourself in a dry and barren place, do not despair. It is a sign that I am about to do something great in you. In the desert, all that is unnecessary is stripped away. You no longer rely on external things, but learn to cling to me. In lack, you discover the one who is enough. In silence, you hear my voice more clearly. In loneliness, you find an intimacy with me that no crowd can offer. And when the time comes, I will lead you out of the desert, just as I led the Israelites, not empty-handed, but carrying power, revelation, and strength that only the wilderness can give. Do not reject the season of stillness. Do not fear when every door around you seems closed, for it is in the darkness that new seeds are sown. It is in the darkness that the Christ child was born. It is in the darkness that the stone was rolled away and resurrection life began. I often do my greatest works in silence. So when you see no movement, do not assume I am silent. It may be that I am clearing the way for something so great. You would not believe it even if you saw it in advance. You once thought that miracles only happened at the last minute, when everything was about to fall apart. But some miracles are not instantaneous. They unfold step by step. A miracle doesn't always arrive with a thunderclap. Sometimes it comes through perseverance. One more step, one more day, one more prayer. And then, like a seed bursting open after a long winter, what you've been waiting for appears not in the way you expected, but in a way that leaves you in awe of my perfection. My beloved, hold fast to hope. Anchor your heart in my promise, not your emotions. When feelings rise and fall, remember, do not change. When circumstances unravel, remember my plan is still unfolding. When others fail to understand you, remember I know every unspoken thought. And when you're not sure you have the strength to go on, Remember, my grace is sufficient for you. There is a profound truth I need you to remember. When you live by faith, you are not merely walking for yourself. You are blazing a trail for generations to come. Every time you refuse discouragement, every time you refuse to give up and choose instead to keep walking in the dark, you are sowing unseen seeds that will one day bloom in the lives of people you've never met. Faith is never just personal. Faith is a legacy. Just as Abraham believed me, and it was credited to him as righteousness not only for him, but for an entire people, you too are being called to build a spiritual lineage that walks in the light, even when the path ahead seems hidden. You were destined for a lineage not defined by blood or geography, but by covenant. This covenant is not written on stone, but inscribed upon the heart. It is the invisible thread that binds your soul to heaven's grand design, and because of that, every act of obedience, no matter how small, carries eternal weight. When you choose love over bitterness, forgiveness over hatred, endurance over retreat, angels record it. Heaven is not indifferent to your perseverance. I do not sit idly by when you choose righteousness in a fallen world. I will reward every quiet act you have done for my name's sake. Even if no one sees, even if no one applauds. You may have asked many times, Lord, do all these things I do mean anything? The sacrifices, the tears, the silent prayers, do they make a difference? And today, I answer you, yes. They shake the heavens. Not one act of faith goes unnoticed. Not a single tear shed in prayer is lost. It is gathered in golden bowls before my throne. Revelation 5-8. Not one moment in which you refused what was wrong out of love for me is forgotten. I am used, and I will respond in due time, in a way no one can deny. And the day will come when you look back on your journey and realize that the moments you thought I was silent were the very times I was working most deeply. Like a blacksmith shaping a blade in the fire, I used trials to refine you. Just as gold must pass through flames to be purified, I allowed tests not to destroy you, but to reveal the true worth of your soul. Every scar from that journey is proof that you fought and did not give up. And I, the one who sees all that is hidden, will turn every wound into a crown. Because you were not born merely to survive, but to overcome. My child, you are being shaped to bear the image of the kingdom. The world is familiar with those who live for themselves, who chase after desire and measure worth by achievement. But you do not belong to that order. You were born to reflect another kind of kingship, built upon sacrifice, humility, and unconditional love. Do not let your heart be swayed by the world's measure. True success is not found in fame or wealth, but in how much you allow me to live through you. I do not seek glittering vessels that are empty inside. I seek hearts willing to be broken so I may fill them completely. And when you allow me to fill you, the life that overflows from you will carry healing power, not just for yourself, but for those around you. Your words will become prophetic utterances that awaken weary souls. Your actions will become signs of grace in a calloused world. Your wounds, once healed, will become doors through which others step into restoration. You do not need to be perfect for me to use you. You only need to be faithful, faithful to return. Every time you stumble, faithful to keep the flame alive, even when the world sees only ashes. Faithful to hear my voice amid the noise of many others. My beloved, the journey is not easy. There are lonely stretches. There are seasons when you cannot understand why the pain lingers. But remember this, I do not require you to understand, only to believe. Believe that he who began a good work in you will bring it to completion. Philippians 1-6. Believe that even in your weakness, my power is made perfect. Believe that in all things, I am working for your good, because you love me and are called according to my purpose. So do not lose heart when the season lasts longer than expected. Do not give up just because the results have yet to appear. Remember, a forest does not grow overnight. Heaven's great works are never rushed. And what I am building within you is eternal. A life that touches heaven's heart, shakes the spiritual realm, and leaves an everlasting mark. You are not merely living for today. You are composing a sacred song that generations to come will sing with their very lives. My child, I see within your heart things that even you cannot name. They are the lingering embers that refuse to die out, the shadows hiding in places where light has yet to reach. You keep walking, keep smiling, keep living as though everything is fine, but I know that deep in your soul, there is a wound that is not yet healed. You've learned to hide it behind your responsibilities, your worries, and even your carefully worded prayers. But do you know this? I do not come to hear the words you think I want to hear. I come to confront the truest part of your heart, the part you haven't dared to name, haven't dared to open, haven't dared to lay at my feet. There are things you have not forgiven, not only others, but also yourself. You look back at your past and see the moments of weakness, the wrong choices, the dreams that died too soon, and you ask yourself, can I begin again? Do you still trust me? Listen closely. My child, I have never stopped believing in you. I have seen every chapter you have written, even the pages you wish you could tear out. And still, I call you chosen, not because you are perfect, but because I am perfect in love, not because you are worthy, but because my grace is sufficient for you. When you are at your weakest, that is when my power is strongest. I want you to know this. True restoration does not begin with action, but with acknowledgement. When you dare to face the darkness within yourself, that is not a sign of failure, is evidence of courage. It is in the barren places that I will cause springs to rise. It is when you admit that you cannot, that I will reveal that I can. Do not be ashamed of what you are fighting. Do not think I only work in the light. I am the God of both darkness and dawn. I created the light, but I am also with you in the night. And sometimes, it is in the darkness that your eyes begin to open and see the light I have been kindling from within. My beloved, listen to what I say next with all your heart. There is nothing in you too broken for me to restore. There is no wound too deep, no mistake too great, no season too long. All of it can be reached by my hand. But you must surrender it to me, no through striving, but through surrender. My child, you cannot heal what you do not understand. You cannot bandage soul wounds with earthly solutions. You need me. You need the one who knew you in your mother's womb, the one who has counted every hair on your head, the one who understands each pain too deep for words. And this is what I want to say to you in this very moment. Sit in stillness, not to hear what the world says about you, but to hear me call your name, your true name, the name untainted by criticism, the name untouched by the scars of time. You are not what you've done. You are not defined by your failures or the voices that echo in your mind. You are my beloved child, chosen, destined, and preserved by an unshakable covenant. I have signed my name upon your soul with blood, with sacrifice, with unconditional love. Let me take you into a new process, a journey not built on striving, but on abiding, not you trying to make it happen, but you allowing me to work through you, not you struggling to heal yourself, but you letting me restore you from the root. There are things you've come to accept as normal, the lingering exhaustion, the dull ache, the emptiness without reason, but they were never my original intention. You've grown so used to the burden that you've forgotten you were made to soar. I didn't create you to trudge through ashes, but to walk on solid rock, and to do that, you must let go. My dear child, let go of the expectations others have placed on you. Let go of the standards you were never called to meet. Let go of the belief that you must get everything right to be loved. I do not love you because you do everything right. I love you because I am love. And when you truly grasp that, you will step into a freedom the world cannot give. A freedom that lets you breathe deeply, live authentically, love sincerely, and trust even when you see nothing clearly. You will find rest not by escaping, but through restoration. My child, do not be afraid when I begin to turn the pages you have closed. Do not fear when I bring to light the things you have tried to forget. I do not do this to condemn you, but to heal you. Just as a physician opens a wound to cleanse it, I, too, open your heart to pour in life. And when this process begins, you will find yourself gradually renewed not from the outside in, but from the inside out. A light will arise, not from the sun, but from your very soul, where my presence dwells. Do you know what makes a lamp burn brightly? It is not only the oil, but the wick that is trimmed regularly. If left untrimmed, the wick will smoke, the light will dim, and the flame will fade even if oil still remains. You are like that lamp. Your soul is the wick, and I am the oil. Yet there are things that must be trimmed away from you, small entanglements that cling tightly, unnamed wounds that hinder the light, not because I want you to hurt, but because I want you to shine. That light is not just for you to see the way, but to lead others as well. My child, there are habits, thoughts, and reactions that you've come to believe are part of who you are. But your true nature is not shaped by pain or circumstance. It was written before the foundation of the world. You were created in my image, wonderfully and fearfully made. Yet that image has been distorted over the years as you believed false things about yourself. I do not condemn you for believing them. I understand why you walked that path. But today, I have come to lift the veil, to tell you, you are not a failure. You are not weak. You are not too late. You are a living temple, marked and sealed by my own spirit. And because you are a temple, not everything has the right to enter. Just as in ancient times, the temple was strictly guarded, and no one could enter the most holy place unless they were consecrated, so must your heart be guarded. There are words, images, emotions, and influences entering your heart every day, and they are not harmless. They shape your thoughts, distort your perception, and dull your ability to hear my voice clearly. My child, I did not call you to live apart from the world, but to live set apart within it. Just as Daniel in the palace of Babylon kept his heart pure, and Joseph in the land of Egypt preserved his holy integrity, you too can do the same if you remember to whom you belong. My beloved, pause for a moment and ask yourself, who is shaping my soul? Is it the truth I have spoken? Or is it the noise of the networks? The pressure of comparison? The voices of the world? You were not created to become a distorted version of someone else, but to be exactly who I envisioned before the foundation of the world. When you live from that truth, you won't need to strive for recognition, nor compete for love. You will know you have been chosen. You have been loved, and you have been sent. My child, such knowledge does not come through books, nor merely through sermons. It comes when you enter the secret place and let me speak with you, not through a mediator, not through rituals, just me and you. It is there that I will whisper your name once more. It is there that layers of false identity will melt away. It is there that you will hear my voice, just as young Samuel did in the stillness of night. You don't need to do something great to hear, Mayu. Just need a willing heart. And when you hear, you will live. When you live, you will shine. Do you know, my child, the enemy is not afraid when you're busy with religion, but he trembles when you are truly transformed, because a healed soul is a dangerous weapon in my hand. One who has been touched to the very roots will not be easily swayed by outward lies. A temple that has been cleansed carries a glory that no darkness can extinguish. That is why he relentlessly strikes at your heart, because he knows that if you are restored, if you rise, if you walk forth with the understanding that you belong to me, all of hell will shake. I say it again, do not underestimate the process you are going through. The silent tears, the unspoken prayers, the lonely moments where you choose to remain steadfast, these are all threads in a work no one can undo. Every time you refuse to believe the old voices and instead choose to believe my word, a new foundation is being laid. Every time you choose forgiveness over bitterness, love over suspicion, gratitude over complaint, another stone is added to the sacred temple within you. And I am the one building that templino with human hands. But by my spirit, I know there are days when you feel nothing, days when you read my word and your heart feels dry, when you pray and it seems no one answers. But do not turn back. Maturity is not measured by emotion, but by perseverance. Just as a seed does not feel the sun through the soil, yet still reaches upward, so is your soul growing, even when you cannot see it. One day, what you have sown in tears will be reaped in shouts of joy. One day, what you thought was failure will become glory, and you will know every step was never in vain. My beloved child, it is precisely in the place that seemed like the end where I begin something new. The broken bricks of the past, the cracks within your heart, are not meant to be buried. They are the very things I will use to rebuild something stronger than ever before. I do not discard your shattered pieces. I use them. For it is in the very place where you were wounded that I will lay the first stone of a new dwelling, not a house built on fear or striving in vain, but a house of my presence, where I may dwell with you, no masks, no hiding, only you, as you are, my child. You once believed you had to be perfect to come near me, but what I seek is not flawlessness, but a truthful heart, not a soul that knows every answer, but one that dares to say, Lord, I don't know, but I am here. And when you step into that place raw and honest, with nothing left but a sigh, I will come, not with thunder or quaking earth, but with a gentle whisper, just as I came to Elijah in the cave. For I do not only come in power, I come in intimacy. Do not underestimate the power of a heart that is breaking, for I can use that very brokenness to bring forth life, like a clay jar shattered on the potter's table, then molded again into a new form. You too shall be reshaped. And this time, that form will not merely reflect you, but it will reflect me. A vessel is not created to admire itself, but to carry. And when you allow me to fill your heart, you will no longer live by fleeting emotions, but by the continual flow of my spirit. Then, your words will no longer be your own, but words with power to transform. Your eyes will no longer mirror fear, but an unshakable peace. You once asked, "Why did I choose you?" I chose you not because you were strong, but because I longed to reveal my strength through your weakness. Not because you were gifted, but because I saw in you a heart that could be shaped. Not because you stood out, but because you were willing to obey. And that is more precious than any other quality, a soul willing to bow before the truth and take a step forward, even with trembling feet. I do not seek heroes clad in armor. I seek hearts that will say, "Here I am. Lord, send me." And for my child, you do not need to understand everything in order to walk forward. One simple yes is enough to set heaven in motion. Like Moses, whose tongue was slow, yet was used by me to deliver my people. Like Gideon, who was hiding, yet was called a mighty warrior. Like Mary, an ordinary young woman, yet entrusted with the living word. These were not remembered in history because of their strength, but because they did not run from the call. And today, you too stand before such a call. Let me break the chains that have held you back for far too long, chains of guilt, of unforgiven pasts, of the toxic words others once spoke over you. No one has the authority to define you except me. No experience is strong enough to alter your value in my eyes. When I look at you, I don't see failure, I see potential. I don't see how many times you've fallen, I see how many times you've risen. I don't see who you used to be, I see who you can become when you surrender fully to me. My child, you will have to let go. Let go of the things that feel familiar but no longer bring life. Let go of relationships that drain your spirit. Let go of dreams you've built apart from my presence. Not because they are evil, but because they are not enough. I have something better for you, not just good, but complete, to receive the new. You must release the old. Transition always comes with a form of loss, but that loss is necessary for you to step into fullness. Do not fear starting over. Every day I give you is an invitation to step into a new rhythm of life. Don't wait until everything is perfect. Begin right where you are. Pray again. Worship again. Eat more healthily. Rest well. Love yourself rightly. Do not underestimate the small steps, for in those very steps, you will see my hand at work, day by day, choice by choice. Moment by faithful moment, these will build into a life that reflects my light. My beloved, what I long for is not mere outward change, but inward transformation. Not a busy life doing good, but a full life filled with me. Not a life of barely surviving, but of abundant living. Not one that chases what the world calls success, but one that walks in divine calling. For when your soul is healthy, every other part of you will begin to heal. A miracle will unfold when you allow me to touch the deepest part of your soul, the part you have hidden even from yourself, the part you closed off out of fear of being hurt again. Yet it is precisely there, in the place you thought no one would ever enter, that I choose to begin. Not because I am blind to the fractures, but because I see the potential within them, like an artisan who sees beauty in an uncut stone. I see restoration in the very ashes you have called failure. Revival does not begin in brilliance, it begins at the edge of despair. And that is why I am standing in your valley, not to judge, but to restore. My child, you have lived with a mindset of merely getting by. As long as you didn't fall, it felt like enough. As long as you didn't lose everything, you considered it a success. But do you know that I did not create you to live within such limits? I formed you with an inner strength, a flow that does not come from human willpower, but from my spirit. That is why, when you step beyond your comfort zone, no longer leaning on your understanding or your own abilities, you begin to touch the power that was already placed within you from the beginning. It is not a borrowed strength, but a power sown into you like a seed awaiting its appointed time to rise. You once believed that revival was something external, a miracle, a prophetic word, an open door. But I tell you, true revival comes from within. It begins when a soul decides, I no longer want to live in doubt. I will no longer be led by emotion. I choose life. It is at that very moment that the waters of my spirit begin to flow once more through the dry plains of your heart. Just like in Ezekiel 47, when water flowed from beneath the threshold of the temple ankle deep, knee deep, waist deep, until it became a river, too deep to cross, you too will be immersed in that river of life. If only you are willing to keep walking, not stopping where it feels safe. My child, revival does not come from fleeting emotions, but from daily commitment. When you open your eyes in the morning, you choose to say, Lord, today I offer this body to you. When you eat as one who has been sent. When you rest as one who knows they are loved and does not need to strive to prove their worth. When you pray, it is not to beg for what you lack, but to reconnect with the one you cannot live without. And when you cry, those tears are no longer symbols of failure, but evidence of a heart being healed. You once thought I only moved when you were ready, but I move right in the midst of your lack. When you are weak, I become your strength. When you are confused, I become your light. When you are empty, I am the one who fills. So do not wait until you feel enough to begin living according to my will. You only need to begin, even if it's a trembling step, even if it's a whispered prayer, even if it's a single breath that cries, help me. That alone is enough for me to act. Have you ever heard of the myrtle tree in Isaiah 61? It was once considered useless, a dry piece of wood, but I chose it as a symbol of what I can do with a life deemed hopeless. I will trade ashes for a crown. I will exchange mourning for garments of joy. I will cause the downcast soul to sing again, not because you know how to sing, but because I place a new song in your mouth, and you will sing not as an artist, but as a warrior singing a song that breaks every chain. The revival I speak of will not only transform you, but it will also spread through you. Those around you will begin to sense the difference, because you are trying to prove anything, but because a presence is with you. When you enter a room, darkness will retreat. When you speak, your words will carry healing. When you pray, heaven will respond. not because of who you are in the eyes of the world, but because you have offered yourself to me, and I always honor a true offering. My child, you are a messenger of truth. You are a bearer of fire not to consume, but to illuminate. You are a gatekeeper not to shut people out, but to open the way. And the first part of revival that you will experience is this: the realization that you don't need to run elsewhere, and you don't need to wait for the perfect moment. Right where you are standing, in this very body, in this very mind, in this very soul life is beginning to sprout. Beloved, the revival I am leading you into is not a flash of fire that flares up and quickly dies out like dry straw. It is a process, a lasting healing, starting from within and flowing outward, not just in fragmented pieces, but in your whole being, body, mind, and soul. Every part is being called to rise from the ashes, and each part, when placed into my hands, will be renewed in ways that reason cannot explain, only faith can understand. You once thought revival was only spirituala, yearning of the heart toward me. But look again. Your soul cannot soar when your body is worn down and your mind is shrouded in the fog of anxiety and fear. Just as a tree cannot bloom if its roots are rotting, its trunk is cracked, and its sap cannot flow, you are the same. I did not design you for your soul and body to exist separately, but to be intertwined. They reflect one another. What affects the body touches the soul. What binds the mind hinders the flow of the spirit. That is why I am reviving your entire being, leaving no part out. I see every silent pain within your body, the places where you've grown so accustomed to enduring that you no longer even name them. I see the nights you toss and turn, the moments your heartbeat races from anxiety, the times you choose silence out of peace. But because you're too weary to speak, this is not the portion I intended for you. Your body was not created merely to drag itself through each day, but to function as a living temple where my presence fills every breath, every cell. When you care for your body, you are not simply doing something beneficial for your health. You are acting as a faithful steward of the treasure I have entrusted to you. I do not ask you to be perfect, but I invite you to be aware. Consider what you are allowing into your body each day. Ask yourself, do the things I eat, drink, and do honor this body as the dwelling place of the Spirit? You don't have to become an expert in nutrition or exercise, but you must become a listener. When your body is weary, do not ignore it. When you are in pain, do not dismiss it. When something isn't right and it persists, it is not by chance. It is my gentle call, reminding you to return to the balance I designed from the beginning. And then there is your mind, the battlefield no one sees. The mind, my child, is the gate of the soul. If the enemy gains control of the gate, he does not need to enter the palace. He only needs to command what flows in and out. And how many times has he done this to you through subtle lies? That you are not enough, that you will never change, that your past defines your future. But today, I command you, tear down those strongholds of distorted thinking. Take every thought captive and bring it into submission at the feet of Christ. Your mind is not a place to absorb everything the world offers. It is the ground where my thoughts are meant to be planted and take root. Do you know that a single right thought can alter the entire trajectory of your life? One simple decision, such as choosing to forgive, to release a grudge, or to embrace truth over fleeting emotions, can fling wide the gates for peace to flood in. And I am the source of that peace, not a forced calmness, but a supernatural peace that surpasses all understanding. Let me renew your mind day by day. Let my word be the light that shines into every corner. When you dwell consistently in truth, there will be no room left for falsehood to hide. My child, you may have been wounded so deeply that you've shut your heart away. You may have believed that if you let someone in, even you would only hurt again. But, dire one, I do not come to break you. I come to heal, not by temporarily patching broken pieces, but by making all things new. Your soul does not have to carry the weight of memory, of anger, or of shame any longer. Let me breathe life into the places where you thought hope had died. Let me restore the parts of you that have gone numb. I am the resurrection, and there is nothing within you so lifeless that I cannot bring it back to life. My beloved, when all three parts, body, mind, and soul, begin to move in harmony, you will feel something you've never known before: lightness in your step, clarity in your thoughts, freedom in your breath, and closeness in your relationship with me. That is the beginning of true revival. Not loud, not showy, just you, your whole being, living in alignment with what I intended from the beginning, a person created in my image, alive, a whole, and radiant with glory. When revival begins within you, not through fleeting emotions or large gatherings, but through the daily renewal of your body, mind, and soul, something miraculous happens. That transformation cannot be contained within a single person. Just like a lamp lit in the darkness cannot shine for itself alone. The light within you will begin to spread to those around you. This is not a strategy. It is the natural result of genuine life. As you walk in true wholeness, not merely a body free from illness, but a harmony that flows from deep within, you will become a living reflection of me in a world that is starving. You won't need to shout about your faith. People will sense hope in your voice, peace in your eyes, and strength in your presence. That is an influence that cannot be fabricated. It is the kind of impact that flows from a life touched by the power of the Creator. Don't you see? When you begin to cherish the temple I have given you, when you choose what brings life over what corrodes, you are planting seeds for the next generation. You will no longer talk about change. You will be the change. You will not just pray for revival in your family. Your very presence will shake the ice that has formed around the hearts of your loved ones. You will not merely speak of forgiveness. You will live as one who has forgiven and been forgiven. And that very reality will cause others to want to know the source from which you drink. Remember this: light never argues with darkness. It simply shows up. When life within you is restored, the barren places around you will begin to shift. It may be family members who were once hardened to prayer. It may be colleagues who once scoffed at faith. It may be friends who once dismissed the value of discipline and love. But when they see you changed, truly changed, without performance or pretension, they will begin to wonder what has happened. And that, my child, is the very moment I have been waiting for to step in. I will put the right words in your mouth, not as a teacher, but as a witness. Your humility will be the doorway through which healing flows to others, not through criticism, but through love, not by lofty speeches, but through every small act done with a wholehearted spirit. I will make each of your steps meaningful in the spiritual realm, and every choice you make will carry weight for the souls around you. Nothing is insignificant when done in obedience. And then, The influence will not be confined to your closest relationships. Just as yeast leavens the whole batch of dough, just as salt flavors an entire pot of stew, the life within you will find its way into the corners no one thought reachable. You will begin to shape daily conversations, community decisions, and the way you see and treat strangers. You will carry the fragrance of heaven into places long saturated with the scent of disappointment. And in that moment, you will no longer be just a lone traveler. You will become the seed of a collective awakening. You might think, I am too small, too weak, too ordinary. But remember Gideon, the man called a mighty warrior while he was hiding in fear. Remember Moses, who once claimed he could not speak, yet became the voice that delivered God's will. Remember Mary, a humble young girl whose single yes ushered in salvation for all humanity. I do not need a crowd. I need one person who dares to believe. And if you will dare to believe, I will take care of the rest. Remember, revival does not come through programs, slogans, or strategies. It comes when someone says, I am willing, and that person is touched, healed, and sent out. When you allow me to finish my work in you, you will become an instrument that cannot be stopped, not because you are strong, but because you have been emptied for me to fill. Not because you are capable, but because I am the Almighty One working through you. You cannot measure the impact of a surrendered life, but I can. I count every soul that will be uplifted because of a word you speak. I record every tear you shed in intercession for others. I see every right step you choose when no one else is watching. And I will reward you openly. I will open doors no one can shut. I will lead you to places that no degree, reputation, or relationship could ever bring you to, because you have chosen to become a faithful vessel. And then, when you look back, you will no longer recognize the person you once were. Not because you have become someone grand in the eyes of the world, but because you have returned to your true self, in my eyes, a person healed, restored, empowered to live and to awaken life in others. That is true revival, not loud, yet unstoppable, not flashy, but profound, not instant. But éternel. My beloved, once renewal begins to take deep root in your life, the next truth I want you to understand is this: endurance does not come from your own strength, but from intimate union with me day by day, moment by moment. Many begin in fire but end in ashes, not because they lack zeal, but because they never learned how to lean on me to sustain the flame. I have not called you to run a short sprint. I have called you to walk the entire journey. You must understand that true revival is not merely an emotional moment, but a life anchored in steadfast faith, in love, and in obedience. And to sustain that life, you must know the true source of your strength. It is not your willpower, not your discipline, nor a passing motivation. It is the continual indwelling of the Holy Spirit within your temple. When you allow Him to live actively within you, He will empower you not only to begin well, but to finish gloriously. Perseverance is not something you have to strain to produce. It is the fruit of a heart deeply connected to the source of life. Think of a branch that cannot bear fruit unless it remains joined to the vine. In the same way, you cannot bring life unless you remain in me continually. Do not seek me only in moments of weakness, only to walk away when you feel strong again. In fact, it is when you feel strong that you need me even more so, that your strength does not turn into pride. and so that the fruit you bear is not of the flesh, but of the Spirit. My child, there will be days when you feel no stirring. There will be times when your heart does not overflow with emotion. But it is in those quiet days that you will learn the precious lesson of faithfulness. You will learn to keep walking, not because you feel like it, but because you are certain that I am with you. That is mature faith that does not depend on what is seen or felt, but is built upon the unchanging foundation of my promise. And I know this: when you begin to live in obedience, new challenges will arise. Temptations will not disappear. The enemy will not remain idle. But the difference now is that you are no longer alone. You have found your refuge. You have tasted the truth that I am your stronghold, your shield, your shade in the scorching day, your high tower in the midst of the storm. Nothing can bring you down if you remain in me. I repeat, do not be mistaken. Sustainability does not mean the absence of battles. It means you know how to fight the right way with spiritual weapons and no longer rely on your own strength. When the arrows of doubt come flying, you will raise the shield of faith. When the voice of accusation resounds, you will put on the helmet of salvation. When you need guidance, you will wield the sword of the Spirit, which is my word, to discern truth from falsehood. And when you no longer have words to pray, you will simply stand still in my presence. For I myself will fight on your behalf, my beloved child. This is not mere theory. This is a spiritual reality that I want you to step into. I want you to be steadfast, like a tree planted by streams of water, always green, even through drought. I want you to be someone who is not shaken by the turmoil of the world, not swayed by the words of men, not disoriented by sudden changes. But to become such a person, you must build your life upon the rock, not on sand. Return to my word daily. Do not merely read it, but meditate on it, until each verse becomes breath to your soul. Do not chase after the noise of the world, but learn to recognize my still small voice. Do not seek after signs, but seek my presence. For in that presence, you will not only find protection, but also purpose, rest, and the strength to carry on. Do you remember the story of the 3 friends of Daniel? When they were thrown into the fiery furnace, the fire still burned, but it did not consume them, because there was one who walked with them in the flames. In the same way, I do not promise that I will always prevent the fire from reaching you, but I do promise that I will be with you in the midst of it. And the wonder is this: that very fire will not destroy you, but will set you free from the chains you could never break on your own. You do not need to live in anxiety about keeping the flame within you alive. Let me take care of that. Just keep your heart tender before me. Keep your ears open to my voice, and keep your feet from straying off my path. I will handle the rest. I will strengthen you when you are weak, uphold you when you are weary, heal you when you are wounded, and carry you when you cannot walk on your own. Do not be afraid of starting over each day. My mercies are new every morning. Do not be ashamed of falling. What matters is that you do not give up. Do not lose heart when you don't see immediate results. I work quietly but surely, and never think I have become distant. I am closer than your very breath. If you keep walking, you will see everything I have promised will come to pass. My child, once you learn to dwell in my presence, you will enter into a covering that the world cannot comprehend. This covering is not a visible shield made of earthly materials, but an invisible wall built by my promises, my holy blood, and my eternal power. The enemy may watch your life, but he cannot touch what I have sealed with my supreme authority. When you choose to walk in the light, you are not only walking with me, but also walking in a radiance that no darkness can penetrate. Even so, there are dangers. You are completely unaware of silent arrows in the dark, traps laid in your path, but I, the sleepless watcher, have intervened. Have you ever wondered why something terrible seemed about to happen, but at the last moment, it vanished? That was no coincidence. That was me stopping evil with my own hand. That was when I sent angels ahead to cancel the schemes of the wicked. Every breath you take is proof that your life is being preserved by a supernatural hand you cannot see. My child, do not misunderstand this protection as an excuse for carelessness. When I shelter you, I also call you to be alert, like a watchman on the high walls. You must learn to observe and pray, not out of fear, but so you will not be caught off guard. Not because the enemy is powerful, but because I want you to participate in preserving the sacred mission. I did not create you merely to survive, but to walk with the awareness that you carry within you a light that can break the chains of an entire generation. I have promised, no weapon forged against you shall prevail. Isaiah 54:17. But to fully experience the depth of that promise, you must live within the boundaries I have set for the safety of your soul. These boundaries are not prisons, they are fences of love. You cannot expect to be protected if you walk into darkness. You cannot expect to be led if you ignore my voice. Do not leave the garden I have planted you in just to chase after the hollow calls of places where no life dwells. When you remain in me, not only is your soul protected, but every decision you make is supernaturally guided. I will trouble your heart when it is veering in the wrong direction. I will shut doors you are not meant to walk through, and I will open paths you could never open on your own. I will place within you a sense of divine uneasies, a warning signal when something is not from me. Do not ignore those subtle stirrings. It is often in the quiet whispers that I save you from great mistakes. Remember this, I am not only your Redeemer, but also your guide. Not a single one of your steps lies outside the map I drew before the foundations of the world. When you entrust your life to me, you are no longer simply a wanderer moving through randomness, but a soul walking each step in a dance choreographed by eternal wisdom. Even the winding roads, the unexpected turns, if your heart remains true, I will use them all to lead you exactly to where you are meant to be. However, the journey is not always clear. There will be moments when you feel as though I am silent, as if there is no light to guide your steps. Yet even in that silence, I am still at work, like a seed hidden beneath the soil, quietly beginning to sprout. Do not assume I have withdrawn simply because you have not yet seen the outcome. Do not let delay cause you to doubt my love. Remember, I never stop moving, and when I move slowly, it is so that what is coming will be more enduring than anything you could hope for. You will find yourself protected not only from obvious dangers, but also from subtle missteps. There will be times when I will hold you back from an unhealthy relationship, from a contract not sent by me, or from a decision that seems reasonable but lacks my presence. Do not mourn what falls through. Trust that I see what you cannot. A closed door under my guidance is an act of mercy, not rejection. In every circumstance, remain in communion with me. It is in this continuous fellowship that I will sharpen your ears to hear what you once missed. I will attune your heart to the truth, even when it is hidden behind eloquent words. I will train you not to be swayed by fleeting emotions, but to live grounded in the certainty of my word. And from that place, protection will no longer be something you plead for, it will be an indispensable reality in your spiritual walk. My beloved, I do not only guard your soul from harm, I protect your reputation from slander, your calling from delay, and your family from destruction. When you walk in obedience, everything concerning you is under my attentive care. When you walk in the path of righteousness, the blessings do not just pour over you, they flow through you and into your descendants. Walk in this with gratitude, for you are living under a covering that cannot be bought with wealth or earned through worldly success. My child, I want you to know this: you are not merely a recipient of a mission, but a part of the very lifeblood of heaven being restored. Every step you take is drawing not only your own life closer to fulfillment, but also bringing to completion a chain of promises spoken long ago. What you choose today does not simply determine your personal outcome, it awakens seeds of life I planted generations before. You are a vital link in a grand design approaching its fullness. You are not an orphan. You are not forgotten among the multitude of souls. On the contrary, you are called by name amid the clamor of humanity. Just as Samuel heard my voice in the night, just as Jeremiah was set apart from his mother's womb, just as Isaiah cried out, "Here I am, send me," Isaiah 6-8. So too are you standing at a similar turning point. I have called, and you have heard. I have spoken, and you have obeyed. This has opened a gate no only for you to enter, but for thousands to follow the light you now carry. Do you know this? When you offer your whole life to me, it is not a surrender of loss, but a receiving of fullness. When you let go of your own will, you are not forfeiting anything. You are being entrusted with a purpose far greater than anything you could have dreamed. When you place the cross at the center, your life is not confined. It is expanded to touch heights that human strength alone could never reach. It is in the moment you bow low that my glory rises most powerfully within you. I do not promise that the road will be smooth. I do not say the storms will pass you by, but I do promise this: in every fire, you will not be consumed. In every flood, you will not be swept away. I will be the strength in your feet when you grow weary. I will be the arm beneath you when you stumble. And above all, I will be the refuge for your soul when every other voice has fallen silent. You may not understand it all, but you can trust. And that faith, that is the greatest weapon you possess. My child, now I give you something no one can take away. A promise that has been sealed, a covenant that cannot be broken by betrayal, by fear, or by delay. My love for you is not based on your performance, but on my eternal nature. I do not love you less on the days you are weak. I do not draw back when you lose your way. On the contrary, it is in those moments of weariness that I come closer than ever, like the father who runs to meet the prodigal returning home, not waiting for an explanation, not requiring you to start over, but simply embracing you and proclaiming, "This is my child, who was dead and is alive again, was lost and is found." Luke 15:24. My beloved, now I invite you to step into the season I have prepared for you. This is no longer the time of delay. This is the hour of action. Rise up, as Ezekiel did when the Spirit lifted him from the valley of dry bones. Breathe into the land where you dwell words of life, resurrection breath. new strength for what once seemed withered. Walk not as one in fear, but as a child of the Most High. For from this moment forward, you are no longer merely a survivor. You are one who is sent. You are a torchbearer. You are a carrier of divine authority. Do not look back at what has been lost. Do not count the failures of the past. Do not mourn the road once taken. For anyone who puts their hand to the plow and looks back is not fit for the kingdom of God. Luke 9:62. Fix your eyes forward, where the radiant light does not come from the sun, but from the throne of glory. Walk toward the place where the calling resounds ever clearer. Well done, good and faithful servant. Enter into the joy of your Lord. Matthew 25-21. In eternity, there is a chapter bearing your name that is still being written. Every decision made today is recorded not with ink, but with light. Every tear, every whispered yes in the midst of pain, every small act of faithfulness, all will echo into a glorious song no force of darkness can silence. Nothing is wasted when offered from a sincere heart. No act is too small when placed in my hands. And this is the final truth I long to engrave upon your soul. You are mine. No one can snatch you from my hand. No storm can carry you away from grace. No darkness can extinguish the flame I have kindled within you. You are sealed by the Holy Spirit. You are marked upon my heart. You are a living stone in the eternal temple. You are the answer to a generation crying out in the night. Rise up, live, shine, and remember this: I am with you, yesterday, today, and forevermore. Thank you for receiving today's message. Be sure to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so we may continue to receive the living word together. Build a steadfast faith and walk in the boundless love of God. Amen.